Hello. Before you start watching all of the movies that I have created for you for the 2011 tutorial for the final product, I want you to understand the painting theory and how to work the layer palette and how to look at shapes. I consider this the most important thing. It's what I refer to as uh, eye over mind training, which is the ability to look at the shapes for what they are, not for what you think they are. So what I want you to do is to train your eye to see the shapes as I see them, which is from a medium value, always from a medium value. That doesn't mean a 50% value. So what you lay down first is the bigger shape on a lower layer, and then the smaller shapes on the upper layers. But I want you to understand the kinds of things you're supposed to be looking at from even before you get into the setup movie. I'm going to paint this entire window for you. And what I want to do is work my way from the outer shape to the inner shape and be very, as much as I can be very, I can't think of the word, critical of that. I'll think of a better word, very critical of that theory, because that theory is what Photoshop is all about. It's why we have layers and layer palettes and folders, and we have the ability to add, subtract, intersect, and overlap paths. In my initial text edit file, I have said to path out every shape. So when you see a shape, I have created a path for what you're about to see. But I've never duplicated the path. I've never taken and drawn the same edge twice. So the next thing it says is make a new layer for every shape and every change of color. I'm going to try to stay as close to that as possible. And so are you, hopefully, and realize that for every rule that you make, you can slightly break it and you're still maintaining within the theory. The next thing it says to make the selection and then fill with the necessary color reference, okay, to match the color reference. Then you just keep on repeating that. Now, to get right into that without wasting any time, I want you to see how I solved this car. Now, what I've done, and this isn't about what you see in front of you here. I've already solved the sheet metal on this car in just a rough study-like way. I haven't done any of the small things that it takes to really fine-tune what you're about to see. This is simply about how to look at shapes. In other words, I have drawn these paths that start from this outer window. I'm going to kind of highlight this so you can see it on the screen. It starts from the outer window, and I'll make a selection of it, and I'll keep on moving down. But what I'm going to do is I am going to remove the opacity from this thing I refer to as the clicky copy, so you can keep your eye on what the window is all about. But watch how when I make a selection of each of these paths as I number them from 2 to 3 to 4, I have drawn the path on the outer part of this window, and then I move my way to the inner shapes. I'll click the next one, which is slightly smaller, the next one, which is slightly smaller, the next one. Then I even have saved them as selections, so I now go into the selections. Watch how this now becomes the inside molding. Then I even have the one for the inside window. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the outer section of this shape that I see, okay, and we're going to define exactly what I see. To the best of my ability, I'm going to define it, and then I've created a window mirror layer that I'm going to keep on adding layers to. I may name them, I may not. I want you to name all of your layers as you go. Let me hit Command S to save the file, because it's important for me that you understand the painting theory. So let's get right into it. The very first thing I see that's surrounding this entire window mirror area, let me try to get this a little bit bigger on screen. Actually, I can't, so I'm gonna just kind of move my way from left to right, if you know what I'm doing there, is red. I see red. Let me hit the V key. So let me describe to you what happens. I see that red surrounds this entire window, and the red turns into a little bit of black on the left-hand side. Beyond the red is a little bit of a white shine. So what I've done is I took the path that I used, which was this path right here, which I'm going to make a selection of. Sorry. I actually went to select modify, expand, and I expanded it by, I'm working at 600 ppi, so I expanded it by about 12 pixels to get me to the white area. So I'm going to show you that that selection is for the red area. Then I actually made another one for the white area by expanding that one. I didn't redraw it, I expanded it. Now let me deselect and let's continue to talk. Notice how this goes from white to red to gray, to black to gray to black, and then you have the window color. So I'll say it again. It goes from white to red to gray to, yes, that gets lighter on the inside, but then it goes to black, then a gray, then on this side another black, and then it goes to the window color. Now, those aren't independent streaks. Those are completely filled or filled to the point where I need them to be filled layers. The larger one is going to be on the bottom. The inner window is going to be on the top. And even smaller than that is the mirror and the black holding the mirror. So the last thing that I should be painting on this entire window mirror thing is this little white shine, working my way from my outer shape to my inner shape. And that's how I want you to paint throughout this entire process. And if you paint this way, you'll paint twice as fast as you ever thought you could. Okay, because let Photoshop do the work for you. To start off that process, I'm going to double click this one and call it layer 1. I'm going to double click layer 9 and call it 2. And I'm going to keep that whole process going. I'm not going to name these layers because this is just a study. Whoops, this is 5. I'm going to say this is 6. And then finally I'll figure out which one of these is going to be the inside window. This is 7, 8. I'm faster than I can even click. This is 9, and let's go up to 10. And I'm going to start with number 1 on the outside. Actually, I'm going to go to number 2 because number 1 on the outside is going to be the wider white. Now, what I've done to accomplish this is I've made a little copy of the what I'm supposed to be looking at up here. But I'm going to keep on turning this clicky copy off and on. For now, I'm going to leave it off so that we can see what I'm trying to get at. So I'm going to make a selection of my number 2 area. I'm going to hit Command H to turn it off, and I'm clicking on my number 2 layer. I'm going to take the B key and I'm going to get real close to this little, I'm going to turn on the clicky copy again, and I'm going to get close to this red and I'm going to option click it. Now I'm going to back off so you can see something here, and I'm going to turn off the clicky copy and I'm simply going to go option delete and fill with red. Now that is the precise part of the theory that I want you to stay very loyal to, okay? Each one of these things is probably going to get a layer mask. So what I'm going to do is deselect that, and a new color goes on another layer, but let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to add a layer mask to this layer. Look up here in this corner, right up here where I'm kind of touching. It gets less red. So instead of painting less red, I'm going to paint black on the layer mask so that I can reduce the amount of red that I've put in there. So with a big brush and with my flow at 5, I'm going to lighten up, or in other words, I'm painting black on the layer mask to just lighten up that area right there. And now look at how I'm going to click this on and off to see exactly how I've done. Now right here on the bottom corner, it also backs off just a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower my brush in size, and I'm just going to get real close to this, and I'm going to paint a little black on the layer mask right here so that you can see how I've actually lightened up on this corner right here. And I'll fix that in a little while, but look at how I'm not trying to be 100% precise. It doesn't matter that color is kind of messy going to the inside because another layer is going to cover that up. So look at how now I've backed off on that. I'll even make that better in a little bit. I have a path that I've actually generated for that. Let's go to the outer white. So I'm going to click down to the outer white, which is a larger shape than the other one. And I'm going to command click the outer white path. So I did that by expanding the number 2 path. Now let me grab the color that I'm trying to get to, which is right about here, which is that lighter pink. I'll even make it just a little bit brighter pink right about here. And now, well, look at how I'm going to back off on this so you can see it. Hit Command H, turn off the clicky copy, but I'm going to keep my eye on this file right above me, make my brush slightly bigger, and now I'm going to actually add that little white shine on the outside. Now, do you see how that little white shine looks like a little tiny edge? It's not a little tiny edge. I'm going to turn off the number 2 layer. Do you see how I'm just making it a big shape? And that's the beauty of this whole theory. I'm going to put white around the whole thing. Have I put too much white around the whole thing or light pink? Answer, it doesn't matter, because the real answer here, the real thing is, on a layer mask I can reduce the amount of white. Let me turn on the number 2 layer. Yes, if you look up at the reference up here in this corner, there's too much white on this edge. So there's a couple of things that I should do. And yes, it's a little bit more fuzzy than I have made it. I made it nice and hard. So I'm going to deselect, I'm going to add a layer mask to the number 1 layer, but I'm going to click back to the image for a moment and go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and I'm going to Gaussian blur that white area to about maybe 6 or 7 pixels, a little bit more than 4. There. I've now made that area right here, I've made this nice and soft. Okay, look what it was. Look what it is. Now, that's the beauty of letting Gaussian blur do your feathering. Now, let's keep on going. I've now done 2 of them. Let me hit Command S to save the file. Now, if it's still too bright over here, click to your layer mask, paint in black on the layer mask, and reduce it. Do you see how by painting a little bit of black on the layer mask, I'm actually reducing that white shine along this edge? And that's so much fun to do. Now let's do the other shape, the next shape. Let's turn on the clicky copy and look at what we have to paint. Let's grab this gray right here. Now, there's a couple of things that happen. Look at how on the edge the gray lightens up here. But I am going to take this and simply fill up this entire layer with that gray, and then I'm going to finesse it so that it gets lighter in areas. But now I click to the number 3 layer, which is going to be the smaller layer. I'm going to take the number 3 layer and take and command click the inside. Now this is smaller than the red, which was smaller than the white. Now, all I really have to do here is hit Command H, turn off the clicky copy. With that gray, oops, I missed the gray. I'm going to grab the gray again. The gray is right there. So I option click the gray, and I'm just going to go option delete and fill it. Now look at how I have the white edge, the red edge, and now look at how I have the beautiful gray edge. Now what I should do is not to destroy that. I should start adding a little bit of these inflections, these little white, little lighter, I didn't mean white, I meant lighter things on the edge. So I'm going to lower the brush, click to the number 4 layer, turn this off, and I'm going to paint a little bit of this light up and down this edge here. And you look at how it even looks a tiny bit messy. I don't really care. I'm going to go like this now, and I'm going to actually paint a little bit of this light around this edge right here. So I'm now painting by freehanding a little bit of that light value all around this edge, and when I click away it's going to look slightly messy, but I don't really care because I don't care about the messy on the inside. Okay, now I'm going to click away, and you're going to see how I've lightened up on that edge. And again, that's how I want you to paint. I don't want you to have to totally concentrate on what you think the shape is, but only paint exactly what the shape is. Does that make any sense? Let's now paint a little bit more of light value all along this edge here, coming straight down. A little bit more right there, right there. Okay, now let's turn off the clicky copy and see how we've done. I think that looks pretty good. I think I've controlled that just about as much as I have to, because it's going to look good in a split second. Now, we can fine-tune that because we can add and subtract selections. I'm going to show you right now by adding and subtracting a selection. Do you see how the light value on the outer part of that molding is a little bit cleaner? Well, I've already accounted for that in my, if I can remember where I put it, I have the selection to the outer side, and I called it number 3 black outer, and I believe I have a inside selection right here, which I now have held Command Option. I want to Z back so you can see what I'm talking about. See how I have the selection, which I've called, it's my number 3 selection. I made one over here, and I'll click on it. Do you see how I've made one right there? That's the inside of that shape. Well, I'm going to click back to the RGB image, and I'm going to hold Command Option, and I'm going to subtract the littler one from the bigger one, leaving this little tiny edge in there. Now I'm going to hit Command H so you can watch me paint, and I'm going to turn off the clicky copy, and then I'm going to grab that light value, and I'm just going to hit this edge with a little bit of the light value. Look at how now I have that light value there, which I can Gaussian blur. Before I click away from this, let's fix the bottom. I did make something right there that I can actually add the black into. So let me remember where I put that. It's called a separate shape. Do you see how I made this little separate shape thing? Now obviously I don't want to paint so it's out here, so I'm going to actually intersect the number 3 black outer shape from it. Now what am I talking about? If I command click that one, which is the outer black shape, I'm going to just click on the path. What I want is the in-between part. I want this part to go down here. So I'm going to hold Command Option Shift, and I'm going to intersect that shape. I don't care about the inside, because that's going to be where the window is. I'm just going to now take the black in my brush, click right here, turn off the clicky copy, hit Command H. Make sure I can see this one that's right up here, and I'm going to make my brush just a little bit bigger, and I'm going to actually paint that little bit of darkness right on that edge, getting nice and close to it. Let's now get and bring it a little bit farther down here. That's perfect. Let me move it up a little bit by moving that. Okay, that's nice. That's beautiful. And now if I get close on this, let me show you by turning the clicky copy on and off. I'm not trying to make perfection here. I'm just trying to make it work. Now you can see how this gets a little bit blacker right here around this corner. So what I need to do is command click the inner shape, which was right here. Now I need to actually subtract the other shape. In other words, if I take and command click the inner one, and that's number 4. So I'm command clicking this one. Now I want to subtract the one that's for here so I can actually paint a little bit of black on the inside of that. So I believe it was for this one. No, I'm sorry. Let me go to this one. Oh, oops, I did the right thing, but I did the wrong thing. Let me command click on this one. Okay, I have to command click back on the channel, and then I have to go back here and command click on this one. Whoops, I did it again. Let me Z back so it's there, and here it is right there. Okay, now I'm going to paint between these two. I'm not going to infect any of the other colors. So I'm going to grab this black, hit Command H, click to layer number 5, turn off the clicky copy, and I'm going to add a little bit of black on this edge right here. So now I'm getting nice and dark right there as it works its way down. And now you can see how I'm maintaining the smallness here. I'm maintaining, working my way to the inside. Let's make the brush somewhat bigger. Let's go back to, and this isn't a perfect science, let's go back to this one, and let's turn on the clicky copy and realize it gets darker right here, and it gets darker underneath here. So I need to get darker with it right there. Let's now turn off the clicky copy, hit Command H. You can see how I've gotten darker. Okay, now the next thing. Let me click up to this layer, which is the next layer to paint. I've done, let's talk about it. I've done the white, I've done the red, I've done the gray. Now I have to fill it up with an inside darkness right there. So I click. This is layer number 6. I find the next one. Let me see where the next one is. It is, actually I was looking at the wrong thing. Okay, let me turn on the clicky copy and see where I'm talking about. Now, watch how I've made these selections. I'm going to say them out loud. This is the number 5 one, and over here I have 5 top gray, so I'm going to command click that one. That one's now for the gray. This one is now for the black, and this one is for the inside window shape. So let's go back to here, and let's now paint this. Looks like it moved a little bit on me. I don't think I moved that. I need to see if I actually moved something. Let me double check. Let me see. No, I didn't move anything. No, I'm cool. All right, let me stay selected on layer number 6. Let's command click. I need to find it again. Command click the outer one. I'm going to use that one as my black. Then that one goes to my gray. Okay, there we go. Go back to this one. And now I'm going to take and I'm going to fill up my color with black. It's black almost all the way on the inside, so let me hit Command H. I'm selected on this layer. Sometimes, I have to tell you, I'll turn this off, but I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Sometimes I paint with the clicky copy on. Now, why do I do that? Let me turn it on. Because I can see how far the color goes. So I know that I'm putting black on layer number 6. But now I'm talking about this black right here. Notice how the black doesn't go down real far. It stops about right there. So I am accomplishing that task right there. Okay, I'm coming down a little bit farther here. Let me hit Command H to see how far it goes. Now I need to actually put it all the way over here and all the way over here. Really harsh, because that's a lot of black right there. I'm talking about this area between here and here. Remember, I'm working my way to the inside shape. Now, let's turn off the clicky copy. I'll show you what I've got. Now we click to layer number 7. Layer number 7 is the inside top gray. So now let me turn on the clicky copy. Let's now grab this gray right here, right there. Now I need to come in with that gray. So let's turn off the clicky copy. I should paint with it on, but let me hit Command H and now let's paint the light gray in there. Now that's creating that beautiful edge of light gray. So I went, let's do it again. I went white, red, gray, black, gray. Why? Because that's what the reference told me right there. Now, I should toggle that up just a tiny bit. I'll tell you why. I toggled it down. Let me turn off the clicky copy. I toggled that down and the gray is actually coming. I have too wide. My black, I'll point to it. My black is too wide. So what I'm going to do is hit Command H and show you that I need to toggle that back up a couple of toggles with my cursor keys. Hit Command H and now I'm going to paint it back a little bit, and I'm painting gray in there to just reduce that. It's actually making that very, very pretty. Now, let's go to the next one. Layer number 8 is supposed to be what color? It goes black, gray, black. So let me go back to black. Let's command click that one, which is right. That's the mirror. Okay, that's the color. Okay, there it is right there. Let me move that down just a tiny bit. Now, this one is for the black around this edge. So let's turn this off, and now let's hit Command H, and now let's paint the black. Now you can see how I'm painting, oops, I need black, black. Now let's come in here and paint the black around that edge. So look at how clean that made that look. So far this is looking real pretty. Let me see how far down the black goes. Let me turn on the clicky copy. Actually, in this case, the black goes down quite far. So let's go down real far. I have a little bit of fix-up to do there, which means I actually have to go backwards on this layer. I have to go backwards to this piece of molding right here. Hit Command H and just darken that just ever so slightly. And now let's see, okay, a little bit more. Let me turn this off. And let's hit Command H so you can see it. Let me make sure that was the right one. And let me go to the next one. Okay, there's the one that I needed to have. Let me hit Command H and now let's go black. Oh, that's beautiful. And let me see how far down that goes. Okay, that's just about right. I need a little bit more black on the bottom. Okay, let's go down here because there's a little bit of light of darkness as it works its way right here. I'll show it to you. Right there, there's some darkness. So if I turn this off and on real fast, you can see how close I am. Now let's put the window in there. I'm gonna label number 9 window. And let's go grab the window color. So I'm going to click this, which is the window color. Let's find the window actual shape. Where the heck did I put it? Number 7, window. Now all I have to do, notice how I don't care about where this is right here. I'm just going to put the window in there and see how this looks. So I'm going to hit Option Delete and put the window in there. Let me deselect and now see how that looks around the molding. Look at how neat that looks around the whole molding. I have little bits of fix-ups to do to lighten up certain areas, but that's the exact nature of how I want you to paint. Now, I'm going to put the window way up on top for now, and on layer number 10, I'm going to finish off this value that's in the molding. Notice how I haven't finished off this lighter gray right there. So I made a selection for it. Let's go to here and see if I've made, that wasn't the selection, that wasn't the selection, that's the selection. So I'm going to grab this gray that's right about here. I'm going to hit Command D, not D, Command H, and I'm going to paint on layer number 10, and I'm going to lighten this up. Now I put the window up higher so that, actually I didn't grab the right color. Let's go grab this color right about here, and then I can influence it. So let's turn this off. And now let's go like this. And now I'm going to add a little bit more of the dark. So let's take this value and let's get a little bit smaller with it. Let's just add a little bit more of this value dark. I'm not trying to get perfect for you on screen. I'm just trying to show you how I can add some of these little inflections later, these little shine spots, but I'm just laying in these values right there so that you can see that I've started to let these shapes work for me. Now let's turn this off and on real fast. Now train your eye to see what it is that I need you to see. Let's grab this light value and let's come down this edge just a little bit closer to the edge. Right there. Okay, that's nice. Look at how I'm adding that little light back on the edge. Let's see what happens on the bottom. Okay, it gets a little bit lighter on the bottom right there. Let's now turn this like this, and let's grab this dark value right there. It's kind of like a red, and let's go in here on that red, and let's just get it down here. Now I've started to get that. Let's go to the next layer, which I'm going to call 11. The next layer 11, I'll fix the window in a minute. The next layer 11, I need a few more layers on top of that. So let's go back down to 11. And the first thing I need to do for the mirror is the big red shape, or the, I'm sorry, I'm going to paint the whole mirror as a big red shape. So let's just click the medium value of the mirror right over everything. I'm going to, and if it doesn't work out, I'll figure out what to do. Let me go to the first mirror. It's called the entire mirror shape. Do you see that? Actually, you know what I should do? I'm going to actually paint the black in. So what I'm going to do is take this mirror and I'm going to, I made another mirror shape and I'm going to kind of show it to you. Here's the red mirror, which I'm going to subtract from it. Let me click on it. Command click on the red mirror, and if I click on the entire mirror, you'll see the shape. Now, that means if I Command Option subtract the red mirror, all I have to do is fill it with this black and I'll have what I need. So let's go, actually, let's fill it with this middle gray right there. Now, let's turn this off, hit Command H, and just hit Option Delete. Now, I fully understand that that needs to be above the window. So the window right now needs to go below that shape right there. Okay, I'm going to leave it right there because all the mirror stuff is smaller than the window. It needs to stay below. Now let's do the black on the top and the bottom of this, and I actually separated this into shapes. So I'm going to Command click the entire mirror, and I'm going to intersect, that means Command Option Shift click this path that I made go way around here, click it, and I have that shape that I need right there. Okay, now all I need to do is paint a little black on that shape. I could, without making you all crazy, subtract the mirror from it. So now I really have isolated out that shape using 3 paths. One more time. Command click the entire mirror, intersect that shape that I had right there, and then subtract the mirror from it, and then all I really need to do is hit Command H to hide it, turn off the clicky copy, and just fill it with that black. And you can see by filling, that didn't fill anything, whoops. I need to click to another layer. Now I can fill it, and I have that nice black on the top of that edge. Look at how I have the nice black right there. Now let's do the bottom. I know that I've isolated out the bottom, so let's take, where did I have the bottom? So let's go like this. Okay, over here I had the mirror black, left side mirror, molding black mirror right there. Let me make sure I'm clicking on the right thing. Mirror. Okay, there's the bottom. You can see how I've taken this line right across here. I saved it in channels, and which means that I'll show you what I did. And I need to find it. Okay, I took this thing that was for the upper, and I went to Select, Modify, Expand, and I expanded it by about 10 pixels. That took me to the bottom area, and that is this one. So if I now click it, you can see how I made the wrong one. Right, nope, right, nope. Where are you? Right there. Here, now I know what to do. Okay, it's the very bottom one. I want to go back there. If I command click on this one, which was for the top black, and expand it, I get the bottom one. Now all I need to do is take the mirror, just take the whole mirror shape right here and subtract out that shape, which was the long line that you just saw me click, and now I get the bottom of the mirror. I'm probably confusing the heck out of you, so let me just show you what I'm talking about again. That shape was for the segregating the bottom half, but I'm going to use it as a subtract shape. So if I command click the entire mirror and subtract that shape, I get the shape I want. All I have to do is click it, turn off the clicky copy, click to layer 16 and hit Option Delete, and now look at how I have that. Now all I have to do is Gaussian blur a couple of these things, and you can see how nice this is going to look right here. It's a little too harsh, but that's okay. I just need a couple fix-up layers and a little bit of shine. Now, layer 17 is going to be for the red mirror itself. Now, I believe I have the red mirror itself right here. If I command-click the whole thing and I intersect the mirror, I have the red mirror. Let's click, hit the B key, Option key, grab the color for the mirror, turn this off, make sure I'm selected on nothing else. I'll just call this actual mirror. Now let's hit Option Delete and fill it with the mirror. Now let's turn this back on, which is the clicky copy, and now let's do the upper half of the mirror. So let's go Mirror Upper. And now I've made a Mirror Upper path. So here was the Mirror Upper 1. Watch what the Mirror Upper 1 was. I have the Mirror Upper 1 following this line, and then I had a Mirror Upper 2 following that line. So I'm going to command click the entire mirror. I am going to intersect the red mirror out of it. Now I'm going to subtract the upper one. So I'm going to take this and subtract this one. That's for the lower. I need to intersect it, and now I have the upper. Now what I should do is save that as a selection so I don't have to do it again. In fact, I will. I'll save it as a selection and I'll call it Mirror Upper. So I don't have to do that again. Now let's hit Command H. Let's grab this color that's right here, right about here. Let's turn off this. Let's make sure we look at the mirror up here, and let's click this to actually give us that brighter value right here. That's going to be nice right there. Now if I have to Gaussian blur this, I will, just a little bit. Let's come across like that. I need to get darker on the mirror as it works its way around this corner. I'll do that in a minute. And now I'm going to put one more layer in there. And we're going to have this be the white shine for the mirror. And I'm kind of going fast here just to show you what I'm trying to get at. I'm going to command click that right there. I'm going to hit Command H to show you my selection. I made another path for the upper mirror. Do you see it right there? Now I'm going to subtract that out, so now I can just hit the white shine right here on that edge, turn off the mirror. Actually, I'm going to leave this on. I'm going to take my brush, grab this beautiful light color, and just start painting. Let me hit Command H. Now I can't even see where the white is going, which is fine because I know it's going on that upper layer that I was going to name the mirror shine. Now let's turn off the clicky copy. You can see how I'm actually now making that mirror have a little bit of shine. All I have to do is Gaussian blur this by a few pixels and it'll be perfect. Let me make my brush slightly bigger and go up this edge. Come in like that. And I am going to Gaussian blur this just to show you how beautiful that'll look. Now let me deselect and hit a little bit of shine right here on that whole mirror right there. Now I'm going to take that layer 17, deselect, and Gaussian blur it by a couple of pixels. So let's go to blur, Gaussian blur by 6.2 pixels. Oh gosh, that's almost exactly right. Let's go a little bit more. That looks real pretty. Now let's do one more layer for the darkness around the edge. I need to get my mirror back. So let's go Command click the mirror, and let's actually Command click the entire mirror and intersect the red mirror. And now if I leave this on, I can grab this dark value on the edge, hit Command H. Am I on the right layer? Yes. Do I have the right color? A little bit darker, Brian. Okay, now let's paint a little bit down this side right here so I can melt this together. Now if I took about 20 minutes out, I could make all of these little shapes work beautifully. Little bit of darkness around the edge. Now look at how that mirror is looking beautiful. Look at how I can come across the bottom of this mirror right here, add the little bits of shine that I need here. I'll make a layer 19. I need now to Gaussian blur a couple of things. Now watch how neat this is. I really shouldn't do it on this one. I should do it on the next ones because Gaussian blurring requires a layer mask to eliminate and make better. When you Gaussian blur to the most of it. Let me turn on the clicky copy and describe to you what I mean. I need to take this and I need to Gaussian blur this edge here and this edge right there. But if I Gaussian blur those edges, I'm actually making this too wide right here and too wide right here. So I'm going to find where those layers are. Let me hit the V key and let's go in and right hand click on this mirror here so I can make sure, whoops, right hand click on layer 16. Layer 16 was that bottom shape. Now I'm going to Gaussian blur that just a little bit. So let's go to blur, Gaussian blur, and Gaussian blur that by a little bit. Now that didn't hurt anything over here, it made it help. But look what it did to right there. It made it too fuzzy where I'm pointing. So what I'm going to do is add a layer mask to that layer right there, and I'm going to go back to my entire mirror path. I know I'm giving you this fast, but let's go back to the entire mirror path. Let's inverse it, hit Command H, and now if I paint black on the layer mask, then I am going to actually take away some of that blur. So remember, I'm painting on the outside of that selection right there. Now if I run my brush along the bottom, I have removed the Gaussian blur from actually I haven't removed anything because I don't have black in my brush. So now you probably saw that I had no black in that brush. Now let me take this across the bottom because I want to point to something in a second. Look at how I have black on the layer mask. Look over to the right. I have black on the layer mask, which has reduced the Gaussian blur here. Now I need to do the same thing for the upper one. So let me deselect, hit the V key, right hand click on layer 15, and it tells me that that's the layer that I need to actually Gaussian blur on right there. Let me turn it off. Whoops, it's layer 11. No, it's layer 15. Yes. Now layer 15, I'm going to go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur right there, Command F, and let that blur just a little bit. I actually don't need to fix anything on that one because it's gorgeous. Now, that is a perfect example without having all the fine-tuning that I need of how to make this work. Now let me add the shine to the window layer, so I'm going to click on the window layer, add one more layer above the window layer, and this is a unique thing. Since I already painted on the window layer, I can command click the window layer without having to go back and find the path or the channel. Let me hit Command H to hide it, grab the light value right here, make my brush nice and big, and just paint this, and look at how beautiful that whole thing has turned out, even in this demo, which I didn't really take my time on. because I used and stayed loyal, that was the word I was searching for before, loyal to the theory. What's the theory? If you start with your top layers, look at how I'm going to remove all the layers one at a time, which are the smaller things, the smaller shapes, working down towards the bigger shapes, not really caring about painting things as you see them. What does that mean? I'm going all the way down to the bottom. I didn't paint the white as I saw it. I didn't paint it as a thin strip. I painted it because it was a bigger shape. Then I went to the red, then I went to the gray, then I did all my little painting on the molding to make it work. Look at how that worked. Then I went to the black, then I went to the gray. Let me get a little closer on the screen so you can see it. Doesn't have to be back that far. Let me remove those back again. Let's go back to the red, the gray, a little closer. Okay, you can see everything there. Then I went to the little inflections. Then I went to the black on the bottom, the blacks here and here. Then I did a little bit more painting for the black. Then I went to gray. Then I went to black. Then I went to do this little area here. Look at how messy that looks. But it doesn't look messy when you put the window in there. And that's what I want you to see. Now the next layer went in and it was the shine on the window. That was last. Then I put the darkness for the bottom. I put another little black right there. I put the black on the bottom. I did the red for the mirror. Then I did the upper white shine on that one. Then I did the little inflection for that little shine. Then I added a little nuance of that dark color around the edge. And then I'm finished. I mean, that's basically the theory, and that's how I want you to paint. Thanks for watching this. Now, please start with the #1 movie, the setup movie. I want you thinking this way, though, before I wanted you thinking this way before you got into the setup movie, so that you saw exactly the theory of how to draw paths and how to think. Actually, I'm going to say it right. Don't think your way through this. See your way through this.